Today's message focuses on a nutrient that many people have heard about, but far fewer truly understand. Vitamin D is often described simply as a vitamin linked to bone health. But in reality, its role in the body is far broader and far more interesting than that short description suggests. To understand vitamin D properly, it helps to begin with a simple idea. Despite its name, vitamin D behaves less like a traditional vitamin and more like a hormone regulator within the body. Once activated, vitamin D influences communication between multiple systems, including the immune system, muscles, bones, and aspects of metabolic function. This is why discussions about vitamin D appear in many different areas of health. Bone health is where the conversation usually starts. Vitamin D helps regulate calcium and phosphorus in the bloodstream, which are two minerals essential for maintaining bone density and skeletal strength. Without sufficient vitamin D, the body struggles to absorb calcium efficiently from food. Over time, this can contribute to weaker bones and increased vulnerability to fractures. But bone health is only part of the picture. Researchers have also been studying the relationship between vitamin D and the immune system. Vitamin D appears to help support how immune cells recognize and respond to potential threats. This does not mean vitamin D prevents illness on its own. However, adequate levels may support the body's natural immune responses and its ability to regulate inflammation. Another area where vitamin D is increasingly discussed is muscle function. Muscle tissue contains vitamin D receptors. These receptors help regulate processes involved in muscle contraction, strength, and recovery. Low vitamin D levels have been associated in some studies with reduced muscle strength and slower recovery from physical effort. This is one reason athletes and physically active individuals often monitor their vitamin D levels more carefully. The conversation does not end there. Vitamin D is also being studied in relation to metabolic health. Researchers have explored how vitamin D interacts with insulin signaling, inflammation pathways, and energy regulation within the body. While vitamin D is not a treatment for metabolic conditions, maintaining healthy levels may contribute to the broader environment that supports metabolic balance. At this point, an obvious question naturally arises. If vitamin D is so important, why do so many people run low on it? The answer lies largely in modern lifestyle patterns. Vitamin D is unique among nutrients because the body can produce it through exposure to sunlight. When ultraviolet B radiation from the sun reaches the skin, a chemical reaction begins that eventually produces vitamin D. Historically, humans spent far more time outdoors. Today, however, many people spend the majority of their time inside buildings, offices, vehicles, and homes. Even when outside, sunscreen and protective clothing reduce the skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D. Geography also plays a role. In regions farther from the equator, winter sunlight may not contain enough ultraviolet radiation to stimulate meaningful vitamin D production. Skin pigmentation matters as well. Higher melanin levels can reduce the efficiency of vitamin D synthesis in the skin, which means people with darker skin tones sometimes require longer sunlight exposure to produce the same amount of vitamin D. Because of these factors, vitamin D insufficiency has become relatively common in many populations. This is why dietary sources and supplementation are sometimes considered. Natural food sources of vitamin D include fatty fish such as salmon and mackerel, egg yolks, and certain fortified foods. However, these foods typically provide modest amounts. For individuals with low levels, supplements are sometimes used to help maintain adequate vitamin D status. When supplementation is considered, dosage and individual context matter. Factors such as age, body composition, sunlight exposure, and existing health condition can influence what levels may be appropriate. For this reason, vitamin D testing is sometimes recommended before beginning long-term supplementation. Another important point is that nutrients rarely act in isolation. Vitamin D works closely with other nutrients, including magnesium and vitamin K, which help regulate how calcium is used within the body. This illustrates a broader principle of health. The body operates through interconnected systems rather than single nutrients acting alone. Vitamin D, therefore, is best understood as part of a wider nutritional and lifestyle context. Sunlight exposure, diet quality, physical activity, and overall metabolic health all interact with one another. When these elements work together, the body tends to function more smoothly. Vitamin D becomes one supporting piece of that larger picture. With that context in mind, the role of vitamin D becomes easier to understand. It is not a miracle nutrient, but it is an important one. Understanding how it interacts with the body's systems helps people make more informed decisions about sunlight exposure, nutrition, and supplementation. That perspective tends to produce more balanced conversations about health, and that balance is often where the most useful insights begin.